Two young fighters join forces in a war to protect their kingdom. They have to figure out who should be the new king. Today, we'll go over the story of the 2015 movie, Bahubali, The Beginning. In a big forest, a woman running from the Mahishmati kingdom carries a child on her shoulder. She's hurt and has an arrow stuck in her back. When she sees some soldiers coming, she hides near a waterfall and waits for the right time to attack them. After beating the soldiers, she sees a village in the mountains and decides to go there for help. While on her way, she gets carried away by a strong river current. Realizing she's in danger, she asks her god Shiva to save the child. The water covers her completely, and she goes underwater. Next day, a villager notices the child and bravely jumps into the water to rescue him. The woman, unfortunately, is carried away by the strong current. A woman named Sunga decides to adopt the boy. As the years pass, the boy named Shivudu becomes fixated on the idea of climbing the waterfall. Despite the doubts of those around him, he tries over and over again. Though he fails each time, he feels a strong pull from above. As Shivudu grows into an adult, his determination to climb the waterfall remains unshaken. He manages to make progress with each attempt, but he always slips and falls back down. In an effort to discourage his son from this seemingly impossible task, Sunga brings water from the river daily to pour over an idol of Shiva. This act is based on the belief of Swamiji, the wise person of the village, who claims that if a woman pours 1,000 jugs of water over the idol, her prayers will be answered. Worried about his mom's health, Shivudu offers to carry the water jugs for her. But Swamiji says Shiva won't agree. So, Shivudu decides to pull out a big stone idol stuck in the ground. He uses all his strength to carry it to the waterfall. This way, Shiva will always get bathed, and the villagers won't have to bring lots of water jugs to make their wishes come true. While he's under a big rock, Shivudu finds a wooden mask that fell from the top of the waterfall. This makes him even more curious about what's up there. He looks at the mask and presses it into the sand. He figures it looks like a woman's face. Even though it's just a mask, he falls in love with it right away. Once again, Shivudu heads to the waterfall with strong determination to achieve his goal. This time, a beautiful image of a young woman appears in his mind, guiding him towards the top. With great determination, Shivudu overcomes all the challenges that come his way and finally reaches the waterfall's peak. While exploring this new world, he hears the cries of a woman and soon spots a beautiful young lady being chased. Shivudu rushes to help her, only to realize that this seemingly helpless woman is actually a powerful warrior. It turns out that her plight was a trick to lure warriors into an ambush, with arrows raining down on them. Avantika, the woman warrior, uses her sword to defeat their attackers. Shivudu hides to avoid accidentally being caught in the crossfire. The small group then finds shelter in a mountain cave, where they stay hidden for many years. Jaya is the leader of a group of people. He's been trying to save his princess who was taken away 25 years ago and kept prisoner in Mahishmati. Finally, his army now has strong warriors who can help rescue her. Shivudu sees people wearing wooden masks and figures out where they come from. Meanwhile, in Mahishmati, a swordmaker is about to show his new creation to the kingdom's army general. However, after testing the sword, Katapa says it's not good enough for battle. This upsets Khan, a royal guest, who challenges Katapa to a fight. The general wisely accepts, and during the duel, he breaks Khan's sword without hurting him. The man feels sorry for his rude behavior. He says he's been to many places but has never seen a warrior like Katapa. Even though Katapa is really good at fighting, he's like a servant because his family promised to serve the king. Khan offers to pay to free Katapa, but he won't break his family's promise. The guest is impressed by Katapa's loyalty. In a few days, everyone in Mahishmati will celebrate Balaladiva's birthday. While they're getting ready for a big party, Jaya thinks it's the perfect time to save the princess. He wants to pick the best warrior for the job. Avantika is chosen because she's really good at fighting. She has to make sure she's not caught, or she'll be hurt badly. Balaladiva is a very strong and cruel man who enjoys controlling both people and animals. He's so powerful and mean that during a celebration before his birthday, he starts a fight with a bull just to show he's better. When the bull breaks free and charges at him, he defeats it with just one hit. The king is confused by Katapa's loyalty because he knows Katapa secretly wants to harm him, but Katapa still stays faithful. Despite almost dying to protect the king, Katapa tries to get Balaladiva to release Devineni. She's been captive for 25 years. But the cruel king refuses, saying she'll suffer until she dies. However, one night, the general goes to free her anyway. Devineni tells him not to because her son is coming to save her. Katapa thinks the child died 25 years ago, but Devineni is sure he's alive and will come back soon. Before she goes on her mission in Mahishmati kingdom, Avantika goes hunting with a friend from her tribe. She waits in a tree with her arrow ready, not noticing Shivudu sneaking up behind her. He uses a snake to distract her and draws a picture on her arm. When the snake is gone, she comes down and finds the drawing, wondering who did it. She asks her friend to go back home and goes after her target. When Avantika meets Shivudu, she attacks him without stopping. He almost gets hit by her arrow. He tries to talk, but she keeps attacking. So, he makes a plan to catch her. But she's clever and tricks him. She threatens him with her sword and asks where he's from. When Shivudu reveals that he has climbed the waterfall, Avantika insists that only gods can do that. Shivudu explains that he met the woman from his dreams and went there to meet her. Angry, Avantika tries to attack him with her sword. However, while avoiding her strikes, Shivudu seizes the chance to use his skills to enhance her beauty. He uses plants as if they were makeup, painting her face. Seeing her reflection in the water, Avantika is amazed because she's never seen herself look that way before. Shivudu then gives her the mask that she dropped from the waterfall. This convinces Avantika that he's telling the truth about climbing the mountain to find her. The two of them spend a few hours together. The warrior knows she has a mission to complete, so she uses a plant to make Shivudu fall asleep. On her way, she gets captured by enemy soldiers. However, Shivudu wakes up and arrives to save her. He fights the soldiers and defeats them, even though he doesn't have any weapons. When one of the enemy warriors approaches with his sword raised to strike, he notices something familiar about Shivudu and kneels before him, calling him Bahubali. Seeing more enemies approaching, Shivudu decides to escape with Avantika. He uses his incredible strength to move a big rock and knock down his opponents. Just then, an avalanche starts, but the couple uses a wooden plank to slide down the snowy mountains and get to safety. Determined to protect Avantika, Shivudu decides to rescue Devineni himself, so Avantika won't have to risk her life. Riding on a horse, he travels to Mahishmati kingdom and climbs the city wall to get inside. On that day, a huge golden statue is being put up to honor the king. The slaves are worn out from their hard work and struggling to pull the massive statue. It's about to fall and hurt many when Shivudu arrives. He grabs the rope and starts pulling, and other servants help him lift the statue. One of the slaves recognizes him as Bahubali's son, the rightful heir to the throne. News of his return spreads quickly, and people cheer for him. Hearing the crowd's support, the king feels threatened. To get inside the castle, Shivudu disguises himself as a soldier from the royal army. He makes his way to Baahubali's room without raising any suspicion. However, while trying to remain unnoticed, accidentally drops a burning chalice on a curtain. This draws attention to Shivudu, and the king orders his guards to capture him alive. In the midst of the chaos caused by the fire, Shivudu dashes into the castle courtyard, where Devineni is chained. When she sees him, she feels incredibly relieved and happy, realizing he's still alive. But Shivudu doesn't feel any strong connection when he meets her. He doesn't know she's his mother. Soon, soldiers come to attack him, but Shivudu is immensely powerful and defeats them all on his own. After rescuing Devineni, an alarm goes off. Shivudu uses the royal carriage to escape. He's so swift that not even the fireballs thrown by the guards can stop him. But as he reaches the forest, Shivudu is taken by surprise and attacked. He's thrown into a muddy puddle and then hit hard on the head. This strong blow causes Shivudu to faint briefly. When he comes to, he sees one of the soldiers attacking Devineni, who is defenseless. This sight fills Shivudu with deep anger, and he attacks the men with all the hatred he feels. Despite taking a few sword hits, he fights on fiercely and defeats all who stand against him, even including Badrudu, the king's younger brother. Just as Shivudu is about to finish him off, Katapa arrives and attacks Shivudu. Katapa's duty is to protect the royal family at any cost. He says that if Shivudu wants to kill the prince, he'll have to defeat Katapa first. After defeating Katapa, Shivudu goes after Badrudu, but he is attacked once again. Just then, Avantika and her clan arrive, and Jaya is relieved to see Devineni again. More members of the royal army show up, so the warriors draw their swords and prepare to fight. Suddenly, the people who live near the waterfall also appear, including Sunga, who is deeply worried to see his kind-hearted son in battle. In an effort to defeat Shivudu, Katapa calls his horse to retrieve the sword beside his cell. However, Shivudu rushes in and grabs the sword before him. With the blade, Shivudu swiftly cuts off Badrudu's head. Furious that his mission has failed, Katapa picks up a metal spear and charges towards Shivudu. But as he gets closer and looks into Shivudu's eyes, he drops his weapon and kneels before him. He recognizes Shivudu as the son of his former king, Bahubali. In that moment, everyone realizes that Shivudu is their savior and kneels before him, recognizing him as the rightful heir to the throne. The following morning, Katapa sets out to reveal Shivudu's true story and how he came to be adopted by Sunga in the village 50 years ago. Shivudu's grandfather, Baladeva, established the kingdom of Mahishmati. Despite being older, his brother, Baladeva, wasn't made king because of a disability. When Baladeva passed away from natural causes, his beloved people and the queen, who was pregnant, were left behind. To maintain order, the queen, Shivagami, Baladeva's sister-in-law through Bajaladeva's wife, took on the role of ruling the kingdom with great skill. Shivagami ensured the well-being of her people, but she was aware that her kingdom was at risk of a coup since there was no male heir to the throne. 3 months later, during the night, the queen went into labor and sadly passed away after giving birth. Shivagami adopted the baby boy as her own and named him Bahubali. Not long after, a nightmare came true. One of the royal family members, Murthinda, tried to take the throne by force. But what nobody expected was that Shivagami was ready for this and had the help of Katappa. With her own hands, she defeated all the rebels and even killed Murthinda while holding her son. Shivagami firmly took control of the throne of Mahishmati. Bajaladeva was excited at first, thinking his son would become the future king. However, he was surprised to hear that both babies were considered heirs. Shivagami declared that the one who showed the most courage, wisdom, and kindness would be crowned as the king of Mahishmati. As the years went by, it became evident that one of the children was more honorable and courageous. Both had great fighting skills, but Bahubali was humble and cared deeply for all the people in his kingdom. One day, during lunch, the young man, Bahubali, left the royal feast to eat with the soldiers. He chose to dine with them, even though he knew their food wasn't as luxurious as what was served in the royal quarters. As Bahubali grew older, he became an exceptional swordsman. His brother, too, turned out to be a strong warrior. Both princes excelled in tests of both combat skills and academics. Their equal abilities led to a dilemma for Shivagami. She had to decide which of them would become the next king. Before making this decision, an unexpected crisis arose. Sakathudu killed the palace guards and stole Mahishmati's war secrets. Upon learning of this, Shivagami sent the princess to handle the situation. After sending a carrier pigeon to deliver the document to the enemy kingdom, Sakathudu jumps off a cliff, knowing he has no other escape. To save Sakathudu, Bahubali jumps after him, trusting that his brother would pull the rope to bring them both back up. However, Balaladeva sees an opportunity to eliminate his rival for the throne. He deliberately loosens the rope, hoping Bahubali will fall and perish. At that moment, the rope becomes entangled on a rock, and Balaladeva is poised to cut it. However, other members of the royal army arrive just in time, compelling Balaladeva to abandon his intention and join the effort to rescue his brother. As the enemy army has already acquired all 4 secrets of their people, Bahubali proposes a strategy from books that has never been tested before. Katappa will lead 5,000 men to guard the city entrance, forming a protective wall. The two brothers, Bahubali and Balaladeva, will each lead a group of 10,000 soldiers to launch separate attacks on the enemy army. Katappa believes his group can hold off the attacks for 45 minutes. During this time, they aim to eliminate Kalakia, which will disperse his army before the battle even begins. Bajaladeva suggests that the prince who deals the decisive blow to Kalakia will become the new king of Mahishmati. Shivagami approves of this idea. The plan is set in motion to counter the enemy threat. On the day of the decisive battle, the queen and her children attempt to negotiate with Kalakia in hopes of preventing the war from even starting. However, Kalakia refuses to entertain any kind of deal. He boldly declares his intention to defeat the enemy army and then father a son with Shivagami, who would become the new king of Mahishmati. This revelation infuriates Bahubali, and the queen expresses her desire to capture Kalakia alive, even if it means severing his arms and legs. As the battle commences, Balaladeva and his forces unleash a barrage of arrows, taking down numerous enemy warriors in a single volley. Bahubali also joins the fray, executing a unique tactic by using a massive cloth to cover his opponents. Confusion reigns among the enemy forces until Bahubali launches a flaming arrow at the soaked fabric, setting it ablaze. Upon reaching the city wall, the Kalakias make an attempt to breach the defense set up by Katappa and his brave soldiers. However, Katappa's forces hold their ground with remarkable courage and determination. Soon, the two princes find themselves engaged in close combat with the barbarian invaders, fighting their way through to reach the leader of the enemy group. Bahubali charges forward on horseback, brandishing 2 metal spears, while Balaladeva accompanies him from a carriage. Balaladeva's carriage is equipped with a deadly war artifact in front of him, slicing through anyone who stands in its path. This powerful advantage was granted to Balaladeva's forces, as he received more support from Bajaladeva, his father. In contrast, Bahubali must rely on his own sword as he pushes forward to reach Kalakia's position. As the battle intensifies, the enemy resorts to using innocent civilians as shields, a cowardly tactic to impede the attack. The battlefield becomes a chaotic struggle, with Bahubali and Balaladeva facing challenges from both the enemy and the treacherous terrain. However, Balaladeva proves immune to the strategy as he callously uses his war artifact to claim the lives of the hostages. Witnessing her son's heartless actions, Shivagami is filled with anger and waits to see what solution Bahubali will propose. To everyone's surprise, Bahubali rejects the idea of harming innocent lives and instead commands his soldiers to employ simple tools to trip the hostages, immobilizing them without harm. Once the hostages are safely incapacitated, he orders his forces to rain arrows upon the enemy and engages them with his sword. Amidst the chaos, the enemy's assault on the city wall suddenly halts. Katapa and his men are perplexed by this development until they realize that the enemy is using logs to break down the protective shield. With powerful blows, the invaders create a breach in the barrier, allowing them to infiltrate the city's defenses. For the first time, an enemy flag is raised within the walls of Mahishmati, sending shockwaves of despair through the royal ranks. Believing that the battle is lost, the soldiers begin to retreat, and a sense of impending defeat blankets the city. In that critical moment, Bahubali delivers a stirring speech that rekindles the fighting spirit within the warriors. He reminds them of the importance of their cause and the dire consequences that would befall their kingdom should the Kalakias emerge victorious. His words ignite a renewed sense of determination among the troops, motivating them to persevere and fight until the very end. As Bahubali presses forward on the battlefield, Balaladeva rushes to join him, unwilling to risk losing the opportunity to capture the leader of the enemy army. However, his attempt is thwarted when Kalakia manages to knock him off his chariot. Furious and seeking revenge, Balaladeva engages in a fierce duel with Kalakia. Despite his initial setback, Balaladeva does not relent and even manages to bring down Kalakia's elephant, forcing his opponent to the ground. Observing the intense battle between his brother and Kalakia, Bahubali recognizes the need for assistance. But the enemy responds by throwing numerous bodies at Bahubali. Despite this, he perseveres and uses the gold statue torn from Balaladeva's wagon as a weapon to attack Kalakia. He lands precise blows on Kalakia, and the enemy leader is captured. Seeing their leader defeated, the Kalakias decide to flee the battle. Bahubali is about to deliver a final blow to Kalakia when Balaladeva intervenes and delivers the decisive strike. Balaladeva's victory is celebrated by his father. Bahubali, although content that his brother will become the king, is surprised when Shivagami crowns him as the commander of Mahishmati's armed forces. Ultimately, Shivagami's decision is unexpected, and Bahubali is chosen to rule the kingdom. Angry, Balaladeva questions the woman's decision, but she explains that a king's worth is not solely determined by the number of enemies defeated but by the lives of his people that have been safeguarded. Unlike Balaladeva, Bahubali saved numerous innocent lives that were held hostage during the battle. Thus, he is the rightful ruler of the kingdom. The people unite in celebration of the queen's decision, and they reaffirm their loyalty to the new king. Shivudu, being Bahubali's son, becomes the rightful heir to the throne. When he learns about his father's demise, he questions who could defeat such a mighty warrior. To his shock, he learns that it was Katapa who fatally wounded his father from behind.